This is Governor Bobber, like Good Day Doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Good Friday evening, everyone. It is inflation is up again this month. I think let's just start with this graphic. I mean, it's 8.6. Gas in Montgomery County is around. It's a crazy amount of money as well. It is 507 is the average for regular gas in Montgomery County. If you need to, if you own a Mercedes or a BMW, one of those higher end cars, you're paying 89. You're paying 555 to 578, and diesel cars. I'm sorry, you just don't want to be driving anywhere. It's over $6 now for diesel drivers. Homicides up in our county, Don, 88%. Carjacking's up 72. Inflation 8.6, and Green New Deal defunding the police and reckless spending by the Democrats. That's how we got here. As people want to know how we get to where we are now, well, that's how we got here. A lot of reckless spending. But that is how we, And so, yeah. So on that train, how was your week this week? A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, but since you started off with that graphic and everything like that, I mean, might as well talk about gas prices and inflation, because those are two big issues for the November election.
Yep, and I tell you, that is the one thing that I think the Democrats they're scared to death about. I mean, if it's $5 today, $5.07 today. What do you think is going to happen when some people won't be able to afford to pay for gas to go drive to the polls to vote? I mean, right now,
like that. I haven't even thought about that. That's pretty funny, actually.
Last night, Robin, if we got a comment,
right. I mean, after all, so then the backup plan, but which is part of the thing anyway, is that you just go.
Yes, I will.
And you get a bus, and you bus them in anyway, because the Democrats have always spent a lot of time busing voters.
That is true.
Anyway.
Yep.
Of course, that means whoever's busing them has got to afford the diesel to pay for that. But that's
And it's probably coming out of some slush fund from maybe David Trone is paying for it, or David Blair is paying for it, I don't know if you heard, David Trone wants to put 10,000 trees. He wants to plant in Montgomery County, and then he also, exactly, and he also wants to double the solar panels in Montgomery County. Again, where?
Yeah, I
mean, I don't. Solar panels.
I mean, is he talking? Okay, so explain this to me. Is he talking about solar panels in terms of like solar farms?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's the thing. If he's going to put 10, I think it was 10,000 or no, I think it was actually 100,000 trees. He said not 10,000, 100,000 trees, right, in Montgomery County. Well, I think he's used up all the green space, the open space for those trees. So where's he going to put those solar farms? I mean, on top of buildings. I mean, that's a decent idea, but at the taxpayer expense, I don't think the county can afford such spending like that.
Yeah. So we have. So we have this solar farm not near, just close to our house. I mean, it was just finished a month or two ago, I think, and it's on a piece of property at the intersection of 108 and Fieldcrest Road. Okay, so it's still Gaithersburg, almost Lakeville, kind of a thing, right? And this piece of property actually is part of some land that I know had looked at before possible development, but it's by power lines. But I think part of the problem there was that it failed the perk test. It actually could not sustain, a building, like an office building or a church, or whatever. So I thought, solar farm probably makes a lot of sense, but I have no idea who owns this thing, and is this one of those deals where the landowner basically, has agreed on a contract, I guess, to allow them to put this up, and then he or she is going to, get a piece of the pie for whatever energy is generated by that. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, where do you put all these things? I mean, there's all this talk about, we need more housing. Well, that eats up land. If you build houses, then you can only put up so many trees around the houses anyway. I mean, I don't know.
And here's not to be that guy, but why do we want so many more people coming? It's like, is traffic not bad enough for you people in Montgomery County? Traffic is. I don't know if you noticed. Last Saturday I had to go to a event Saturday morning at 9, and there was a what do you call what did they have? They had going on over there on the Beltway, traffic. I got on 270, traffic. What is going on? I know popular opinion amongst Democrats is drive slower, take shorter trips to combat the high price of gas, which I find is like utterly nonsensical. Pretty much, it's like, really, is that their solution? Democrats' solution?
Yeah, I mean, those are the same people that have been against, Hogan's hot lanes proposal and stuff like that.
Yep.
I mean, and we know people will pay to ride on a toll road if it helps them speed up their commute, or there's, I mean, for businesses. I mean, the ICC, once again, Governor Ehrlich, he got the job done and got that thing, built, and it flourished.
We need to make sure that ICC.
Today, I mean, I was on
there. But I think we definitely need one mission we should do before the end of the year is make sure the ICC is renamed the Bob Ehrlich Expressway, the Governor Bob Ehrlich Expressway, because it is ridiculous that right now it's not, and it can be, and it should be, and there's no reason why it's not named the Bob Ehrlich Expressway.
There is a sign on the ICC that says dedicated to Ehrlich,
Yeah, and that's something the Democrats can come in, they can take it out, and they can dedicate it to whoever they want afterwards again.
Sure.
But if we get so Governor Hogan, I know you watch every now and then, rename it, make it official so the Democrats can't change it. Because we know how Democrats like to rewrite history all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and the ICC, which started off slowly, has really, I mean, Hogan really kind of had the final kind of masterstroke of this. These are two Republican governors that, Ehrlich got the thing built, and then Hogan, I think, unleashed the power of it when he came in and lowered the tolls.
Yep.
And psychologically, that, I think, just allowed people to think that it was a reasonably priced toll road. It's hard for Americans, and you've seen them. You've seen the toll roads in Florida. There are toll roads in Texas. There are toll roads they're all over the place.
In Virginia, we got toll roads. Yeah,
in Virginia, right? So they're all over the place, and you kind of get used to them, and they vary in the rates that they charge. Depending upon who's operating the toll roads. But I don't know what a reasonable price for a toll road should be, but I don't mind paying the tolls on the ICC now compared to before, because I'm like, well, they're about 15% lower than they were, before Hogan came into office, and that psychologically that says it's affordable. Rather than having this thing where the tolls continue to go up, and then you begin to think, well, this is, I'm not going to pay 25 cents a mile or whatever the rate would be as they go up and up and up, and stuff like that. I mean, the ICC, what a blessing it has been to.
It has been. I mean, let me tell you, I used to be able to go almost 85 miles, and I'd have to actually, there was one time I was taking the ICC, and I was like 95. Okay, take the foot off the gas. That actually happened to me once on the Beltway too. I was going from a meeting from one place to another place, place in Bethesda to a place in Greenbelt, and there was a big accident at Georgia Avenue. So you're stuck, slow, moving slowly. Then once you break out of there, there's nothing in front of you, so you just going really, really fast. And it was like when I got to like around the IKEA, I go, oh my God, I'm going 95 miles an hour. So I took my foot off the gas right there because PG County's finest are always lurking around there.
Well, yeah, and that's actually a little bit of the danger of the ICC is just that you just have to be careful because the MTA do police it.
They do. They do.
They will catch you.
But it's not bad that you go 70. There was some Democrat.
They did raise the speed limit by like 5 miles an hour. So
yeah,
it made it because when they raise it by 5, that means you're going to go 5 miles faster, and you're already going you're probably already going about 10 over. So that way, at least you can go at a decent speed. And then there's some people. I mean, when it's not crowded, they really zip.
Let me tell you, on the Florida Turnpike, I was going close to 85, 87. Somebody zipped by me at must have been 90 something on the Florida Turnpike. God bless Florida drivers. I mean, a lot of them were senior citizens, so to speak. But yeah, they still go like fast, But around here, I cannot believe how slow some of the drivers are around here. They just they just go slow. It's like, it's like Sunday drivers in every single day of the week. I don't understand that.
Yeah. So remember, as we talk about, high gas prices, I mean, we're seeing it. Anybody watching is seeing it. It's just that it's like a daily thing of like, well, it's gone up another 5 cents or 10 cents. I mean, the prices have spiked up so fast in such a short period of time, but what does President Biden have to say? I mean, he was on, what was it, Jimmy Kimmel the other night, and he's trying to explain all this stuff besides the fact that he's trying to pin the blame on the oil companies. He's not blaming it as much on Putin as he is on the oil companies. I think he kind of wavers depending upon what he thinks will sell the best. But he keeps getting lost.
I was getting gas and somebody was cursing President George W. Bush, and I'm like, hey fella, have you not got the new memo? The new big bad is not George W. Bush anymore. It's Donald Trump is the new big bad, or Vladimir Putin is the reason you're paying so much more. But I guess they're trying to bring back the glory days of the Bush administration when gas was $1.30 a gallon, and we thought that was high when it was $1.30, $1.40.
And part of the liberals' argument with this is just that when you compare to gas prices around the world, we're still pretty cheap, because Iceland's paying like $10 a gallon or whatever. But we've always known that Europe, they've been constrained because they can't do their own drilling and stuff like that. They're importing everything. Yeah. Virtually. So they're going to be subjected to things where they don't have energy independence. So we know that this has been a fact of life for them and for Asia for a long time. We have a control. So here you have Joe Biden on television, whether or not it's Jimmy Kimmel or national television, whatever he's doing. And every time he gets off to the oil companies and he's talking about all the profits, money they're making now, he says, all they're interested in is, the profits, their shareholders. They're not investing in anything. They're just giving the money back by buying their shares back and paying higher dividends. But what the president leaves out of this equation, right, is when he came into office, what did he do? He says, we don't want these pipelines. They're saying, we don't want, to drill on federal land, right? So that, they're doing this, and we want electrification. We want to get rid of fossil fuels by, 2035 to 2050, depending upon who you're looking at. Anyway, they want the EVs to take over. So, if you're an oil company executive, where is the incentive to invest millions, if not billions of dollars, building refineries and to going and trying to explore where you can explore when you have an administration that will at any moment, they've already said, we don't want these pipelines. We don't want any drilling on the federal land. And at any moment they could come through and say, put more onerous regulations and rules on there, ratcheting up their cost of trying to go and extract the oil out of the ground, making it, just there's largely unprofitable or just less profitable than doing what they're doing today. So the Biden administration has set the tone. It is.
Yep.
It's it's not greedy oil companies. It's the Biden administration's policies that are tying into doing this. And I'm not the kind of guy. Look, I mean, we have to be honest in terms of inflation and a lot of these things. A lot of times, some of these can be out of the president's control. The president can take credit for good things, but he'll get the blame for bad things. But in the case of the Biden administration, they deserve to get a lot of the blame because their policies have stifled us. I mean, the energy, everything that we do, Dwight. I mean, our food, it has to be transported to a store, and all of this, and so those are costs that are being factored into what we're paying at the supermarket, what we're paying at the drugstore.
Yeah. I feel like putting those. I did that stickers.
If gas prices have gone up like 67%, and they represent a good portion of there's a cost basis of there to get your goods to market. Well, what do you think is going to happen to the price when you go to Target, Walmart, Costco, whatever?
I mean, a 6-pack of these Coke Zeros used to be about $2 to $3. Even cheaper if you buy them myself. A 6-pack is $6, $1. It's like more than $1 per bottle. Because it's over 6. Actually, it's not even 6. It's and it's a 6-pack.
I'm glad I gave up soda a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's like and also here is a bottle of Crush, and here's a bottle of Coke. Actually, these are actually the same. I think the Mountain Dew ones has less in there. In the 6-packs, and that's why Pepsi products are cheaper than Coke products. I don't know who makes Crush. I think that's actually an independent beverage manufacturer.
I
don't think it's part of Pepsi.
Maybe it's not bottled by the big guys. Somebody else. I mean, it's either some foreign company or, I mean, you remember that Keurig Dr. Pepper had bought up a lot of stuff, and so they produce a lot of different sodas as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Pepper also bought Seagram too, I think, at one point.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that. I mean, it's part of Keurig. I mean, it's Keurig Dr. Pepper, so Keurig, the coffee maker and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but it's interesting. I mean, so a small example of just once again of how inflation has hit us. So we know the dollar stores are now $1.25 and up, right? So I went over to Dollar Tree the other day, knowing that I'm going to pay $1.25, but I wanted to get, rather than run over to Home Depot, I just wanted to get 7-watt little light bulbs for the night lights.
Yep.
And I haven't bought them in a couple of years, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to pay $1.25 for this 4-pack. And I went over, and they're now a 3-pack, right? So there's one less light bulb in the pack than there used to be, and it costs
shrinkflation.
That. So the effective cost increase is 67% since I last bought those darn things. It's like, and it's anecdotal. It's an isolated thing in a lot of ways. But that inflation report that came out today, what was it? Chicken, they said, was up 17%. Well, my wife will tell you the last time she bought chicken not that long ago, it was like 99 cents a pound. And she just went yesterday to the store, and it was like $1.29 a pound. That's like a 30% increase, rather than 17%. So the problem with these government figures is that they're, at least here in this area, doesn't the military usually gives like a bonus, when you're located in high cost areas in California and DC and things like this. It's kind of like that penalty. You live in certain cities in California. You live here in the DC. You probably live in New York City. And what do you wind up with? You wind up with an inflation penalty. So whatever the government says it is, you might want to add at least another 50% to the figure, because I don't know what's going up 6%, because to me it seems like a lot of stuff, excluding food and energy, are going up a lot of that.
Yep, and let me tell you something, Don. The other night we were over in Howard County for their fabulous Lincoln Reagan dinner, and we were in the VIP. And let me just show you something. I took a picture of it because we all joked about it. Here's an example of shrinkflation. You see these cheeses. I don't know how well you can see it on this image, but they're a lot smaller. These cubes are a lot smaller than typical cubes. And these triangles used to be whole slices, They cut the cheese in half. They cut these in, like, it takes 4 of these to make the sticks of cheese. And 4 of these, they cut. It's like shrinkflation,
Well, I mean,
And
that's a good point. I mean, I think that's right. I mean, I think you go around and a lot of people go around to a lot of these Lincoln.
I mean, this is
Reagan,
what the personal pizza is at Mama Lucia's. This is the size of personal. It used to be the size of the entire plate. Now it's just the inner sanctums of the plate.
Yeah, well, I mean, see, and this is the thing. The things that you can say, wait a minute, I know this is a lot smaller than I used to do this.
Yep.
And I think you and others can see that when you go to a dinner event, that you're not getting as much food on the plate as you used to. Either the ticket's going to cost you more, or you're going to get less food, or a combination of everything. I mean, the hotels, I mean, they face the same thing. I mean, they're paying more to pay their workers to be there, right? They're having a hard time attracting workers, and their food and their ingredient costs are going up. So yeah, that's going to be passed along to the customer. So it's like, who can afford to do a lot of these things anymore? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I mean, Don, you're a fan of cereal, right?
Oh yeah, I eat a lot of cereal.
And did you ever like did you like Cinnamon Toast Crunch as a cereal?
I did for a while, and then I decided finally it was just way too sweet.
Well, you're in luck. The fact that you did decide, but the family size used to be a 1 pound box, roughly about 18.8 ounces, and now the new family size box is 14 ounces.
Yeah,
but
well,
I also remember when
Yeah, I mean, look, you're right. I mean, look, I mean, if you go to the store, I mean, and this is, Kellogg's and General Mills. I mean, they basically admitted that they, because of cost. I mean, the cost of wheat and everything else that goes into this process costs them a lot more, and in order to not drive the price of the cereal box out to the sky, they instead just reduce the quantity. So yeah, when you and I, just even a few years ago, I mean, we were used to
take a look at this. I mean, the shrinkage of Fritos from 9.7 to 9.25. 5 fewer chips in per bag. Your toothpaste is shrinking. Sun-made raisins, 22 to 20 ounce, and 264 sheets down to 244 sheets.
Right, and they do this. And they do this kind of gradually, right? So they take small little percentages off, so that it's barely noticeable. But they will still keep the box, right? The box, the bag, whatever, basically is the same size. There's just less inside the box of the bag. So yeah, I mean, if we were used to buying a 14 or 15 ounce box of cereal, we're now buying an 11 or 12 ounce box of cereal for the same price. Because that is, rather than raise the price of the cereal, they just basically reduce the quantity. And we have, I mean, we're seeing that, that's these across the board. When my kids were younger, we would always see this with the diapers. Over a period of time with our children, a box of diapers. Next thing you know, you'd go, and if costs were going up a little bit, you'd have 1 or 2 fewer diapers. The box looked the same size, but if you actually the quantity, instead of having, say, 42, you had 40, and that was the way that the manufacturers were trying to offset the high costs. And now we're seeing it again, but to a very severe degree, I think. And that's it.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, if you look at it, we've got, in addition to that, I don't know if you remember, what do you call, when I was younger, the family size bag of Utz potato chips would have 2 bags in there. one to preserve the freshness. And actually, when I was like 4 or 5, they used to come in cans. They were about this big, and they were like 4 bags in there. But anyways, now a family-sized bag of Utz potato chips is about the size of the regular size that they used to have back in the day. They've done that with a lot of things. They call it, like, I mean, I don't know if you noticed over at Costco's, the boxes of cereal, they were a lot larger like 2 years ago than they are now. They shrunk those down. They call them value packs or whatever. And even generic cereal has gotten, like, remember the bag cereals that you could buy? They were like the cheap,
like the imitation Oatmeal or whatever those guys are. Yeah.
Even those
look,
none
of them can get. I mean, they can't absorb the increases forever. So
no, they can't.
With the ingredients, with the basic ingredients of cereal going up, got to do one of two things: either raise the price, or you just reduce the quantity a little bit to try to make up for that. You probably crimp your profit margin along the way so that you can still make it halfway affordable for your people. But that's about it. I mean, Susan's out here saying grape nuts or oatmeal. Yeah, I mean, I ate. You remember those commercials back in the day? Who was the guy that was always touting grape nuts? Can't remember the guy's name anymore, but
it was grape nuts or oatmeal was always pushed by Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, but there was a grape nut. There was always a grape nuts commercial and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so, I've tried grape nuts. I got along with it for a while, but then I couldn't do it anymore. So now my staple has been frosted mini wheats, mainly for the fiber, a little more fibrous than others.
Was it like Yul Gibbons or something like that? The guy's name?
Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's the guy.
He was like Yul Gibbons. He was like he was an actor.
Yeah, but
right, if I'm not mistaken.
He was famous for his commercials. I mean, he just gave it some authenticity. He looked like kind of like a farmer guy or whatever. And
he was from Texas.
Talk about grape nuts and nature and all this kind of stuff or whatever. And so, I mean, that's part of the selling proposition too, right? Well, that'll add a few calories, Susan.
Yeah.
unless you're doing sugar-free, I guess.
But I remember, you remember Matt Waters, right? Who I once were joking about. Yeah. Wilford Brimley. He would always push oatmeal, and Matt, I was joking. I say, wouldn't it be funny if all that oatmeal he's eating is what leads to his death, and I think he died of complications with diabetes, so maybe it was all the sugar he was putting on the oatmeal and brown sugar or whatever the stuff he'd always put on there he'd talk about.
Oh, I love brown sugar on oatmeal, that's for sure. I love Susan's replies here. It's like, yeah, look, I'm not afraid of calories, okay? I will admit that I have one of my greatest weaknesses are certain desserts. So it's like, you put a brownie in front of me and it's gone. I mean, I can't stop with the brownies. I mean, I have got bags of brownie brittle from Sheila G's, Costco's had them on sale. I can't stop eating it, And I'm sure there's been some shrinkflation with some of these packages as well. And there's just something that I can't do. That's why I have to go to the gym a lot to try to reduce.
Look at this, Don. Snickers, the shrinkage of 17%, 8%, Yeah. I don't know who buy dairy milk personally. I don't think dairy milk even tastes any good. Cadbury is really a second-rate chocolate, in my opinion, frankly.
It's probably heresy, Susan, but I mean, I love bacon, but I rarely eat it. I can easily live without it, but it is like an American breakfast staple, isn't it? I mean, if I have a chance, and I feel I want to splurge a little bit, I'll put bacon on the burger, kind of a thing like that. But I mean, I've been a part of enough of my own church's 4th of July breakfast that we put together, and boy, you put the bacon out there, and you have with the little kids, we have to limit it. We say you can take 2 because otherwise it'll be gone so fast. Half the people will never get a strip of bacon.
And I mean, here's the craziness. You notice Denny's is Denny's that used to do Baconalia. I think Denny's did, but they haven't had it for like the last 2 years because they can't afford to do it.
Well, I mean,
anymore.
I know that I'm pretty sure Susan can probably, if she's the bacon aficionado, she probably knows how much bacon has gone up, and they have like, I guess, I think they have like a turkey bacon, but the purists will never stand for turkey bacon.
Well, so Susan, when was the last time Denny's did Baconalia? You'd know about that.
But, yeah, America loves bacon. Remember, I mean, do they still even make like bacon bits?
Bacos? I bet they do. I
Can
bet
you
they
still buy
make
those?
Bacos.
Yeah.
And I know, Don, you kind of have a sweet tooth, so I thought I'd share this also.
IHOP's a great place.
Yeah. Look at that. So IHOP did Baconalia, not Denny's. Interesting. But look at this, the shrinkage. This is just between 2014 and 2018.
Well, that's another thing that that the candy manufacturers. I mean, cocoa prices have gone way up, so they have the same problem. I mean, they have ingredient costs have been going up, even kind of pre-pandemic. I mean, Hershey's maybe one of the better I mean, it's a publicly held company. It's one of the better, managed confectioners.
Yeah.
They've sailed right through this. Their profits are well in hand.
Well, and Hershey's actually, as a company, they've always been good at that. During the Great Depression, Milton Hershey did not fire any of his employees, and they paid him back. They enjoyed him a lot, but what they did was they basically said, "Oh, yeah, we're going to go on strike against you for more money and so on." He could have fired you during the Great Depression, but he didn't.
Yeah, IHOP. I keep thinking I need to go to IHOP when they have the National Pancake Day and some other things, but I'm just too lazy to drive 8 miles down the road or whatever to go to IHOP. My wife makes a very good buttermilk pancake, and then she throws the chocolate chips in there, and I'm like, I don't need to go anywhere.
Yeah. And look at this. This is like the crazy. Look at this. Because it used to be a full half gallon.
Yeah. No, I mean, so here's my question too. It's like, exactly how far can the ice cream manufacturers go? They've now cut a quarter off of the old container. Yeah. How much lower can they go before people will kind of rebel? I mean, I don't know that you can really get much below 48. I think at this point, everybody has to admit, you're just going to have to raise your price on the container, and say that, because you want a certain amount of ice cream to feed the people you want to feed, and you make the containers too small, then people are just going to want, they're going to have to buy several tubs and stuff like that. And it gets, but the way you fight that a little bit is that people then they start taking a step back and they say, well, okay, I'm going to go more generic. I'm going to go to Aldi and buy their brand. I don't know if Lidl's got a brand or whatever. You buy the store brand and you try. And I think
the giant store brand ice cream is better than Breyers. I think the giant house brand.
It's kind of funny. I used to buy a fair amount of ice cream. Though I have a friend of mine who's their family has been ice cream aficionados, and they have an entire freezer devoted to ice cream. It's crazy. It just
you should invite them to my ice cream social next Wednesday at the offices of Brad Wars.
Yeah, but over time, I don't know that I enjoy ice cream as much as I did as a kid. There are things as I gotten older, my taste has changed, about certain things. Now I will say, because of McFlurries, I do kind of like McFlurries, and right now through the McDonald's app, you can buy one and get one free. My wife thinks it's still too much to pay $4.50 or whatever for those things, but I'm like, hey, look, that's like paying $2.25, for each one of these little McFlurries. I can do this. I love this.
It's cheaper than the gas.
More than the shake.
Yeah, I mean, it's cheaper than you're filling gas up in your car.
Oh man, I tell you, we keep, every time we circle back to that. I mean, you put that up. What was it? 507 in Montgomery County on the average.
Yeah, 507.
Which is what, AAA. So I surveyed the 5 stations right around me. which
There
are
you go.
within
We can trigger some more of our
2 miles of my house. And we're up to 518 today.
Oh yeah, I think we'll be the state of Maryland's average will be over $5 by Monday.
So I've not been to a Rita's and I've not been to a Brewster's, but I think Brewster's has got some kind of like a brownie sundae thing or whatever. Once again, you put a brownie into it, and I will gravitate, and I will have a hard time and everything like that. Soft serve ice cream, huge weakness. Grew up on soft serve ice cream in Silver Spring.
Well, was there a Carvel's in downtown Silver Spring when you were growing up? Was there like a Carvel?
No, when I was
he's
growing
the guy
up,
that revolutionized. Yeah.
So when I was growing up, there was a place which is in the area where the Silver Spring Metro Station is, and there was a little place called Reindeer, right? And it was soft serve, and it was small. So you walked in, you went in the entrance, and you walked down a line, and then you paid at the end, and you walked out, and then you could sit outside, a few tables outside, and do it. It's a little bit like Jimmy Cone up in Damascus, cash only business. Back then, of course, in the 60s, the credit cards were not widespread anyway. But if you're up at Jimmy Cone in Damascus, which is great, it's an all cash business. But that place is packed. I went there my wife and I went up there about a month or so ago for the first time, and I'm like, whoa! I mean, it is an institution up in Damascus, and I think it attracts a heck of a lot of people.
Yeah, and there used to be in Wheaton Plaza.
What part of the area does Susan live in? Do we know?
Gaithersburg. She's in Gaithersburg, but I don't know if we should say that on air. But yeah, somewhere in that wide metropolis in Gaithersburg.
When she says you love Jimmy Cone, I mean it's like Jimmy Cone's in Damascus. So I'm living in Gaithersburg, so it's still a decent drive to get to Damascus to get to Jimmy Cone, and then you've got to get there at the right time so you can face, and then wait in the line with everybody else. Weather gets warm, that place is swamped.
Yeah, it's like Dairy Queen and Carvel were the pioneers in soft serve ice cream. And it was funny how Carvel was selling regular ice cream. It got soft, and he was selling, and he was talking about how it tasted better as a result.
20 minutes from Rocky Point. So it's easy for you to get around, in areas like that. So that's Carvel. I mean, I think there used to be they used to have a shop in Olney years ago.
Wasn't there one in Wheaton Plaza also by the?
I don't know about that. It just seemed like
it was near where the giant
watching the Carvel ice cream commercials on TV, and I'm like, so where is this store? So now, I mean, if the only thing I know now for Carvel is that maybe you go to Giant or something like that, and you can buy like a frozen cake or whatever, right?
And Fudgy the Whale.
So it's.
I seem to remember there was one do you remember in the old Wheaton Plaza when it didn't have a roof? You had the Giant food, right?
Yeah.
And then you also had the Grand Union, which is where the Circuit City eventually was.
Right.
But there was one. It was off to the side of the Grand Union. I thought there was a Carvel's there.
I don't know. The only thing I remember over there was like a bank and some other things, but I don't know. I mean, your memory may be better. That Grand Union, I just remember when I was younger going in, there was never anybody in there.
Yeah, maybe that's why they went out of business.
It was kind of like A&P / Super Fresh. You'd go in there, and there were never very many people in those places.
Well, the A&P, it was big, it was big in like the Baltimore suburbs, New York, Philadelphia, those areas. A&P, Walbon's, Kroger's, and you'd be surprised at all the stuff that Kroger's owns these days. Like they own Harris.
I think Kroger's has got like over 3,000 stores because they have Harris Teeter and a whole bunch of things in their portfolio. I mean, Albertsons has Safeway in their portfolio, I think. So right.
Also, Safeway is no longer independent. I always thought Safeway was their own.
They were, but I think Albertsons and Safeway.
Yeah, that's why Acme is also Safeway and Martin's is also Safeway now.
Yeah. So, and Stop and Shop owns Giant and things like that. So, of course, you've got Trader Joe's, which owns Aldi. So, yes.
Yeah. And now you have the Giant in Pennsylvania, which used to be a different company.
Well, it's Giant Eagle. Yeah.
Was it Giant? No, but I thought Giant Eagle was a different company also.
Giant
They
Eagle
had,
is the one that's in Pennsylvania. I mean, and they call themselves that, but it's just Giant up there. Yeah.
yeah, now it's all Giant, yeah. And I mean,
And
there used to, no,
that confused me when I went to Pennsylvania for the first time. I'm like, what the heck? You know, I didn't realize there were two different Giants in two different states like that.
yeah. I mean, that's one thing I kind of do miss with the Walmartification of America. It used to be you'd go from town to town and there'd be different stores. Retail stores would be different. Like you had stores like Hills always had like the best popcorn. I think they became part of Ames or one of those places. But when they were Hills, there was a Hills in Martinsburg, West Virginia, and their popcorn was really, really good. And you had and stuff like that. I mean, Kresge's, they used to have probably the best soft pretzels I think I've had, even better than Auntie M's and What's a Pretzel.
Well,
frankly.
the one my mother liked, there was a place in White Flint Mall,
hmm
and she loved that place. And I think they have another shop somewhere else, but it was kind of a mall shop. But they had some great pretzels. Yeah, Susan, Izzy, you talking about Izzy Cohen from Giant Food? That family, I mean, when they ran it, it was quite the company, right? Before they sold out.
Yeah, I mean, O'Donna Matthews, remember she used to be there.
Oh
She did
yeah,
have a
yeah.
picture
You
of
just
her
remember all
also.
the commercials that had all those. Yeah, the
Yeah.
consumer person for Giant, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I
And
mean, we've lived around a long time and just seen how different the grocery industry is today versus
yeah,
before.
I mean, I don't know if you remember, there was a chain called Magruder's that
Oh,
was around for a really long time. I think it just went out of bit. They decided to shut shop down because of Obamacare. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there was a Magruder's over in Glenmont. There was a Magruder's in
Yeah.
right at the in Chevy Chase Circle area, right?
Yep.
Another one
There
up
was one
in
over by.
another one up by Montgomery College,
The,
right?
yep. There was also one by Congressional Plaza.
Yeah, right.
Uh, then they tore it all down and they got condos there. But there used to be one there. There used to be one over in Glenmont where the big arcade and all that stuff is. Now it's a Staples there, but that used to be a
Right.
Magruder's. And then
Yeah.
over in Four Corners, you might remember this. In Four Corners, there used to be an independent supermarket called Cook's Supermarket.
Yeah.
They would always advertise in the Washington Post, and they always had like the cheapest price on like potatoes and stuff like that were like 10 cents a pound or something like that. And although then again, I think that was actually that was a bargain, 10 cents a pound.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was so I mean, we lived close enough to Four Corners when I was growing up, right? So there was a little Chinese restaurant like right next door down the
Yep.
down.
I know where you're talking about.
My parents loved that place.
I think it's gone now, though. Is it still there?
It probably is. I mean, our allegiance switched in about 1974 to the Far East restaurant, and we've been going to the Far East.
Did you ever go to the one in Kent Mill, the Chinese restaurant in Kent Mill shopping center by the Giant? It was between
the Chin and Lee's place.
Yes, I've heard a lot of people like it.
Yeah, people loved it over there. I mean, people loved it over there. But my parents had a certain standard of Chinese restaurant, and that wasn't it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So your dad's probably philosophy was, if there's enough locals eating there, the food must be really good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was actually part of it. And there was another Chinese restaurant in Silver Spring, not too far away from where the metro is, but it's all by those apartments. And we went there a lot of times when I was a kid. So I've eaten at a lot of Chinese restaurants as a kid. I ate at a Japanese restaurant, the Sakura restaurant, that was right down only a few blocks away from the Blair Mansion Inn, those types of things. So
you ever go to the Tongbor in Wheaton Plaza? I think that's his name, Tongbor. It was in Wheaton Plaza. It was a fancy restaurant. There'd be lines, people waiting to get in. It was like next to the old Kresge's on that side of the mall.
So I'm looking at Susan's thing here. Was that shopping center over there? Was that called Woodmore?
Yeah, that was Woodmore Shopping Center. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it had an E on the end, but I think it was
no E. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. The Silver Spring Stage was in there, and that used to be a bowling alley.
Yeah. But and see, that was the one where right around the corner, that was like the Cat's Deli, right?
Yes.
So
and Cat's Deli became a Mac.
we're going back 50 years in time.
Yeah, I know. It's like
the Dwight Patel, Don Irvine time machine.
Yeah. I mean, you know what's still there though is the bakery is still there in Four Corners. Yeah, the bakery was really good.
That's the other thing too, Dwight. It's hard to find a bakery like we grew up with, in a sense, right? I mean, there was a bakery right where the old Safeway was in Wheaton.
Yep.
It was right next door, and it was right around the corner from where was a pub and the car wash and stuff like that. And my dad would go there and buy bread almost every week, and I love the cookies there. There was something about bakery cookies that I just couldn't get enough of.
It was the real butter they used.
Yeah, well, that was part of it. Butter, but
yeah, the sauce from stage is still there.
Just use a lot of butter, and you got me going.
But I tell you, my friend Andrew, his mom, she loved. There was a bakery in Wheaton by refugees from Denmark during World War II. It was a Jewish family. They came over, and it was a bakery. It was like, where the Exxon gas station is. It was like
right. It was a little. It was a little.
It was a Danish.
Dutch, yeah, it was a little, Dutch. Yeah, my mom loved it. They had some great stuff over there.
Yeah. And I remember
it wasn't open every day, as I recall. It was only
it was only open like Tuesdays or Thursdays or something.
Yeah,
it was like weird.
Right, yeah. It was the craziest thing, because it was right it's basically across the street from like the Anchor Inn and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
And it was the craziest thing. It's like you had to know the days it was open.
And there's there you go. There's none in Maryland anymore, but there's one in Virginia.
Yes,
one in Delaware.
True. I can't remember. Did you spell Carvel like with L's and E's or something there? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's probably like James Carvel.
Yeah.
And I mean, since we're
because you're thinking about Carville and not Carvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just think about like how much those areas have changed. Anchor Inn, long gone.
Yeah.
What was it?
Well, they were an
Italian restaurant nearby over there too, behind just behind another shopping center where the Baskin Robbins was, and it was there for a long, long time. I can't remember the name of it.
Where's this in? Is this in Wheaton or?
Yeah, in Wheaton.
Yeah. Was that the Italian Marjone's or?
No. So it's an Italian restaurant, and right next to it was the parking lot with the metered parking lot.
Oh, I know where you're talking about. It was like right next to I know where you're talking about. It's on the far side.
The last thing it was, the last time we went over there, it was a Korean restaurant for a long time that had a great buffet lunch. But we ate there a number of times.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just and what remaining business we had, the lockdown policy of Mark Elric. I mean, La Hinge is gone. Mrs. K's Toll House is gone. We've got. I mean, I am so glad the Stained Glass Pub is still around. I was worried they were going to go under during.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of businesses did, right? And I mean, times change, and COVID definitely did. I mean, I knew this was happening because we have there was a trampoline park that opened up a few years ago near my house, and I guess it was pretty. I think it was pretty popular, like on weekends for parties and stuff like that. We were closed during COVID, and I just think I saw on the Moco Show, page that they're auctioning off whatever they have left inside of there. Just COVID just killed that business. I want to know, when is the last time anybody saw a freestanding store that is a newsstand? Okay, because as a kid growing up in Silver Spring / Wheaton, I went to the Wheaton newsstand a lot to buy
There's actually a place.
Papers, baseball cards.
I don't know if it's still there, but in Montgomery Mall, by where the Cheesecake Factory is on the other side, there is a newsstand. Newspaper shop there.
Well, there there was like a in Lake Forest, like a newsstand right where all the right where the food court is.
Yep. Wheaton Plaza also had one down by the J.C. Penney's, or actually, I should say Woodward and Lothrop. So, just think how far back I'm going about that newsstand.
Yeah, I'm just saying because because of mostly the death of the printed page. Who's buying a physical newspaper? Who buys a physical?
Well, the Washington Post doesn't have people delivering. They can't deliver everywhere anymore. I know.
Yeah, Mrs. K's. I think Dwight. I think you and I have talked about this a long time ago. Yeah. Mrs. K's Toll House.
Yeah, right? Barbara Bush used to go there. Nancy Reagan used to go there. A lot of famous people went there.
I love how Susan's throwing out these ice cream places. It's like, do any of these still exist?
Well, I tell you, the most expensive ice cream place in Washington, D.C. is Coney Island Ice Cream. It's in 2000 Penn. They may or may not be there anymore, but this is in 1989. A scoop of ice cream was $7 there. I think you'd probably need a mortgage to get a scoop of ice cream there if they're still around today.
I'm just wondering whether or not. I mean, I remember, on Rockville Pike, now where the Pike and Rose is, and then when they had the Holiday Spa gym and the Toys R Us was over there and stuff like that.
And Frank's Nursery.
I think in G Street Fabrics, I think there was a place called like Steve's, like gourmet ice cream or whatever.
Yeah.
There was a time when a lot of these places opened up and they were doing like these gourmet ice cream places. I wonder if any. I don't check on these, so I don't even know if any of these things still have survived.
And if you remember over, where the Kinko's is, when the shopping center where they built, it's White Mountain Creamery used to be there, and they've since gone under. I think a lot of these ice cream shops. That place where No, where the Kinko Cold Stones. Not Cold Stones. It was White Mountain Creamery. It was that shopping center. It was newly built in the 90s, early 90s. It's where the Kinko's was on one side of Rockville Pike. It was I guess it was a few blocks up from the original Borders on Rockville Pike.
Oh, okay.
There was a 7-Eleven in that shopping center. There was
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a massage parlor and a bunch of other stuff, And the Kinko's was on the backside. But there was a creamery in there. They've gone under. It's like, we're seeing the end of really, really seeing the end of. Oh wow, she's bringing back EJ Corvettes.
I know EJ Corvettes. I went there a lot as a kid.
I saw a thing about EJ Corvettes. There's a guy that does YouTube videos on Forgotten Chains, and he did one on EJ Corvettes. There was another one that he did. A store called Two Guys. That was, I was like, wow, they really weren't that imaginative back in the 20s when they'd start a store.
So you know the area pretty well, and I think the area where the Micro Center is and all those places are.
Yeah, that used to be a field, if you remember.
Yeah. But is that the one for where Micro Center is? Is that the one that back on the back side is East Jefferson Street?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where the Comp USA used to be.
Okay, so on East Jefferson, so there's a Panera back there, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's there was a thing, I don't know if you saw this, that they're going to apply to develop part of that parking lot, like apartment building or something or other, and I guess so the Panera will have to go. But
I don't like that. I really don't.
I think it's a lousy idea. But what I thought was funny was that when it was pointed out, is that the original name of this thing is like the Memco Plaza something or other, right?
Really?
And you're like,
no, I thought the Memco was on the other side. You know where the Channel Hardware store was? Over where the big giant is. I want to say that's where the Memco was.
No, the Memco was actually right there.
Okay,
the funny thing is that Memco's been gone for a long time, but their name lived on in this planning document because that's the way it was filed.
Oh, that's right. Where the giant is, that used to be a Giant department store.
Right. There was the old Giant tried to go into the retail business with,
and they had, I think they had like 4 or 5 locations. Yeah. You know what would have worked if they done, you know how Memco had a grocery store and like a department store thing? If they had gone that route, Giant had their food and had that all in one place, they may have done a little bit better. I know. But that place,
Giant got into that whole thing. I mean, it's kind of like Giant jumped into the maybe kind of the Walmart-ish thing a little bit too early. You know, before its time, it wasn't something that people were used to. Now people they love the whole Walmart, Target experience of groceries here, hard goods, a bunch of soft goods and other things around there, and you can buy a lot of stuff and what's up. 1776 Plaza. She's exactly right. That's what it was called. Gem behind White Flint. Yeah, I remember that. It's really funny how nostalgic we are getting with things.
Yeah, I mean,
when you said this creamery, there's a place I do need to check out. Apparently, there's some kind of a creamery in Laytonsville that I'm going to.
I should ask Pat Finati about that. She would know.
Yeah. So I need to check that out because I love the idea that because when I go out to Utah, particularly during the summer, one thing I try to do is I try to visit the BYU Creamery because they have 2 locations basically. They have one on campus, and then they have another one several blocks down from campus, and they sell only the ice cream that they're producing, and they've got some fabulous.
And I want to say the University of Maryland made a big mistake by shutting down their creamery on Route 1.
Did they shut it down? That's too bad. I never had.
You got to go. If you want their ice cream, you got to go to the student union and buy it there. And I'm thinking, it was easier when it was on Route 1 because I could just stop in, get it. Now you got to go. It's not worth. Well, it's really good, but it's still not worth the effort. Because that was always a premium for that ice cream, and I'm not going to pay a premium to park. And it's just too much of a headache. I tell you, it would be great if they would license it out to the Giants or Safeways, Terrapin ice cream. That would be. I think they'd actually make some money. They wouldn't have to charge $15 or $10 or whatever they charge for a brick. It was insanely high.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of the universities, having a creamery because I think that's just great. I mean, and you get
it shows class.
I think they just give you a lot of different flavors too, besides the standard stuff. BYU, I can't remember what the name of the flavor is. Something like copper. I think it's like Copper Canyon or whatever. Because localized names because there is a Copper Canyon, up there, and there's like. And my brother-in-law, his little dessert shop place that they have in Provo, they buy that ice cream and then resell it and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I love this ice cream. You can't give me enough of this ice cream.
Yeah.
So now I think about it, I don't necessarily have to go to the BYU Creamery to get ice cream. I can just go and buy it from my brother-in-law.
Yeah. And what's funny is like sort of shifting gears, but. You're familiar with Hawaii. You've been to Hawaii as well.
See, Susan is a font of knowledge. I mean, here we have this is the Montgomery County nostalgia show.
Susan is our Wikipedia.
Oh my gosh, there it is, the Laytonsville, the family room. Okay, there it is. I have got to go there sometime. Yeah. So now I haven't gone to the website, so I'm going to say, is it open 6 days or 7 days a week, type of a thing?
How big is it? Can it host a Dwight for a council event?
Yeah. Or is it just one of those smaller places? I don't know.
Yeah. But but as I was saying, you've been to Hawaii. Have you had their ice cream in Hawaii there? It's a little different, Hawaiian ice cream.
No. So the only time I could say I've been in Hawaii was sitting on a plane in an airport. When I was a kid. That was it. Yeah. Okay. Never. I don't think I've ever actually set foot in Hawaii.
Hawaii used to be very, very expensive for gasoline. But they're not the most.
A lot of stuff's supposed to be expensive because you have to bring everything in on the islands, for heaven's sakes.
Yes. But let me tell you, Hawaii is no longer the most expensive state for gas in the country. California is $6.42 average. Hawaii, $5.51.
That's really insane. And I love that, the story that came out where Mendocino, there was the one gas station, a Chevron gas station in Mendocino.
Uh-huh.
They're in the 90s for gas.
Yeah.
And when the local station asked them about this, why it was so high, and so the proprietor is buying the gas from Chevron, but it's not, except for the Chevron sign, it's not, there's nothing else that's Chevron. I mean, it's not like they have the Chevron snack shop and drinks and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what they have in there, but I guess basically they rely on the gas to make most of their money. Whereas rather than making, having the low margins on gas and the higher margins on sodas, chips, candy and stuff.
And what's funny is I used to enjoy buying crackers from a gas station every now and then. I used to love, those Ritz sandwich crackers. You can buy them at I bought them at a gas station over on Park Lawn once. Never again. And I never buy those cheese crackers or anything like that from a gas station unless I'm driving down south instead of Love's, because Love's.
I was going to say, are you still supporting Love's or the Wawas of the world and things like that?
Oh, yeah, I do. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. But I'm not going to buy it at a filling station. They were horrible.
Well, I wouldn't go to a place that doesn't look like it has high enough volume where they're actually turning the product over.
Yeah.
And, the Loves of the world and the Wawas and the Sheets is high volume, right? Lots of people go to those places and do that. I mean, it's interesting. Now you got me thinking. Can you imagine? I mean, it probably wouldn't make any sense for Costco to do this. But if Costco had a small convenience shop with their gas stations, I mean, based on how many.
By the way, no shrinkflation at Costco's food court. By the way.
Yeah, we love. Look, yeah, I've had many meals at Costco with the $1.50 hot dog or the chicken bake or the pizza.
Pizzas are awesome.
So they do a great job over there. I mean, and they understand that they keep those prices constant, and it draws people in to buy everything else. And look, what's their margin is probably about 15% on the stuff that they sell in the store on the average. So, but it's volume. It's all volume within there. So it's, Costco. We love Costco. I mean, we're kind of tied to this area now, Dwight, because it's like we've got Costco, we've got Sam's Club for backup, we've got Aldi, we've got Lidl, and we've got Walmart. And we've got the Asian grocery stores. I don't know too many places around the country that can give us that don't have, say, we can't go to Arizona because the extreme heat. My wife can't.
I think in Melbourne, they're building a Costco. It might it'll be open later this year, right off the exit on 95, right by where I am. And it's going to have a gas station too.
You build a Costco, your city has arrived. I mean, my daughter's got a Costco in Evansville now for the last year and a half or whatever.
They say, they actually say that. They say Costco, Starbucks, having more than one bank in your neighborhood. It's like Four Corners, as dumpy as it looks from the outside. They've got they got 3 banks. They got a Starbucks. The Costco's is not that far away. They got, they got $650,000 homes, which I guess is a bargain for Montgomery County. That's affordable housing for Montgomery County.
I know. So, since when you were growing up down there, I'm trying to think about that time frame. Was there still like a KFC or a Geno's there by the firehouse?
It was a KFC, Geno's, Roy Rogers, actually Hardee's. Also, it was a Hardee's at one point. Then it became McDonald's. Was the last thing it became. And then there used to be the corner pub. Used to be, well, the furniture still as old as dirt.
Fred and Harry's was down there.
Yep, Fred and Harry's. Fred and Harry's closed, and I think Fred tried to start something I think Fred's got a deli or something like that down there now. Harry, I guess. 6.
Oh. Okay. So they don't stay open that late. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So even
wow,
8 o'clock on a Saturday. Okay, that's good to know.
Hey, family, we're giving you free advertising. Just letting you know that free advertisement.
But I'll give free advertising something that's not even in this area because I admire this company so much, and that's Stuckey's. So
Yes, there's a lot of those on the
Even
interstate.
Stephanie Stuckey, the granddaughter of the original Stuckey, is not conservative. I mean, she was a Democrat, Georgia state legislator. She was, I think, the head of some environmental thing in Georgia and Atlanta or whatever. She is somebody to follow on LinkedIn because she is amazing. If you want to talk about an entrepreneur who has revived family business, her story has just been amazing. Of that, she and another partner she life savings to buying it from whoever had owned it, had bought it, basically run into the ground. And in the, back in the 60s and 70s and stuff like that, I mean, there was Stuckey's, kind of like had a distinctive look roof. They had a gas station. They sold pecan, all kinds of pecan
pralines. And
she's revived, and they're actually making money. But this woman is on the road. She's a little younger than I am. She has gone through. I love her because she's brought back Americana. She takes these pictures and she does these stories, all these kind of quirky little places throughout Georgia and New Mexico and Texas, that are pieces of the past in a lot of cases, of things that, we've talked about a lot of stuff that we grew up with here. She's basically gone down there and, some of those funny billboards or old signs that are, of businesses that are long gone, but the signage still exists. And you're like, I love this. I mean, she apparently is writing a book, and I'm not sure if it's a book on the business itself, but she could write a book about just the road tripping throughout America and what she's seen. And it's like, this is fabulous. So one of these days, when I get down close to the South, I am going to look for a Stuckey's product somewhere and buy some. I tell you,
if you drive to Florida on 95, I think there's a Stuckey's in Brunswick, Georgia, as well as Savannah, Georgia. The exits there have signs.
And they sell a lot of products in gas stations that they license them to and stuff like that, and things like that. But I have, as a result of Stephanie Stuckey, I have also put on my bucket list to go to Savannah to watch the Savannah Bananas baseball game, minor league baseball game. She's a big fan of that team, and that's a quirky little minor league team. And I'm like, okay, it may be if Spencer ever moves back to the East Coast, he's decided that we could go on a road trip and drive down to Savannah, take in a baseball game. It would seem like that's a long trip to go watch a minor league baseball game, but they're like probably the most entertaining baseball team in the country.
Well, I tell you, the minor league teams are always a lot more fun to watch than big league teams.
Yeah, I mean, they're cheaper to attend than major league games, and the entertainment value is off the charts.
I wish we had a minor league team.
I took all my kids to Bowie Bay Sox game when they were growing up.
I tell you, that's one thing I'll do if I get elected to county council. I will woo the Bay Sox away from Bowie to Montgomery County.
Well, you need a ball.
We could build them one. Yeah, we could build them one. I mean, we got enough room. We could take them to Montgomery College and build the stadium there. Yeah. Or somewhere. I mean, we could find room for them if they do want to move here, because I think they'd be a net positive for the county. It'd be a revenue generator. Opposed to us sinking money into things like Thrive and silliness like that. But we're in extra innings done today.
Yeah, these days the thing that keeps me from going to baseball games is I don't really feel like driving 30 miles either to Bowie or 30 miles up to Frederick. I like the Keys.
I don't know if it's because, I don't know if it's because I got 50 in spitting distance now, but I don't like driving more than 20 minutes. And even then, it's like depends on. I mean, there was a time when I'd drive at any time of day to go as far as I need to go. Now it's like, I mean, even though Micro Center is like literally about 15 minutes away from me, if it's 3 o'clock, I'm not going to drive to Micro Center because the traffic in Old Georgetown, the traffic on East Jefferson. Well, you can't get to East Jefferson easily anymore, but the traffic taking 270 up there, the traffic on now the formerly road known as the Montrose Parkway, which is now the Josiah Henson Parkway, which, that was the fastest signage name change I've seen in Montgomery County when they did that rename there.
Yeah, Susan's talking about. So I think the team in Olney, is that the one that's going to play like over there where the boys club, girls club plays, or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't.
It's
I
like
don't.
the Bethesda Big Train.
Is that what that's like? Okay.
I think it is.
Is the big train? Did they play over Montgomery College or something?
No, they play. They got their own stadium.
Where is that?
It's off of what's the name of that road? It's that road. It's that road between Seven Locks and Montgomery Mall. It's Westlake Drive. Yes, you go on Westlake.
Westlake Drive. I mean, that's over. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's Westlake Drive.
Hmm.
But it's Jim Shalek had an event there. They are located and they've got a really nice stadium. It's Westlake Drive, 10th 10600 Westlake Drive. And they're between the power lines and the bus depot.
Yeah, see, Dwight, you can try to figure out a campaign event at the OBGC Park and with the crop dusters there.
I like that idea. I might have to call the Big Train up, actually. They're much unlike that team that plays in Rockville. Is horrible. But I think one.
So
very nostalgic show.
Just out of curiosity, so where the Big Train plays, I mean,
yeah,
they have like bleachers or something like that.
Oh, let me show you what they've got. They've got a full block. I mean, they're like the Yankees.
Yeah.
No, they've got. It's
I've
nice.
been to Yankee Stadium. Okay.
Okay, this is their website.
Yeah.
And it's part of Infinity Sports and Entertainment. Do they have pictures? Let's do this. Oh, look, their website's not secure.
Yeah, you need to get them to fix that, Dwight.
I know. Unfortunately, there would have been a time when I would have had time to do all like reach out and stuff like that. It's like, who has that time? See? Look at that. They got luxury boxes up.
Luxury boxes?
Actually, those aren't luxury boxes, but that's where the concessions are up in there.
Okay. Well, look at that.
But you take out the concessions, you got luxury boxes there.
Yeah.
But this is really nice. They got a nice logo. You can.
Looks like they attract a pretty good crowd based on those pictures.
They do.
Oh.
And this is where political people can get tables and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Stephanie Stuckey, CEO. But there's a lot of stuff.
We've had the nostalgia show. We really haven't talked.
Yes, we have.
I guess we got our politics in at the beginning on gas prices.
Yeah, with the gas prices and all the joys of all the results of voting Democrat. So Democrats.
And we're more entertaining than watching the January 6th commission on TV anyway.
That is true. We're probably getting better ratings than they are too.
Well, so there was pretty.
Are they seriously doing that tonight on a Friday night?
Yeah, but I will say this as we kind of wrap this thing up. I love how Fox News just decided to counter program, no commercial breaks, and they just went ahead and just kind of bashed the whole thing, right? The whole entire evening. Now, MSNBC had terrific ratings for them, but it also shows to me that how much, they were just, all they were doing is preaching to the choir, right? Because all the lefties watch MSNBC and they watch them in droves, and all these news reports. Oh, chilling new revelations out of all of this. I do have to say that that Trump seems to have thrown his daughter under the bus. But it's only
he's thrown the vice.
If you don't agree that the election was stolen and was the big lie,
I got my daughter anymore.
Or nothing.
It's like it reminds me, like, I mean, you and I, we used to go to Grover's. It reminds me there's a certain guy there who, if you disagree with him, you're the dumbest person on the planet. And I'll tell you offline who it is, but you can guess who I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Well,
He's been banned.
the thing about Ivanka is, I mean, she says these things, and then there's this reaction apparently from Trump, and then on like CNN or someplace, they're like, this is terrible. I don't see how this relationship can ever recover from this. And I'm like, yeah, in some cases I can understand that, but we're talking about Donald Trump. I mean, it's like it's not like Ivanka doesn't understand that her dad is like this anyway. And so, his reaction was pretty predictable. I don't think the relationship between Ivanka and Donald Trump and her dad is going to really be affected by this. I mean, he says like, yeah, well, she checked out long ago and stuff like this. Like, okay, look, sometimes Trump, you just ought to just don't even react to this and just shut up, and things will go away a lot faster.
And here's the thing. I really think a lot of the stuff that the president does is like he's kind of an actor. Yeah. He's like, it's kind of like my role as a candidate, as I am playing your textbook candidate, and she's got by the way, speaking of the Trumps, but Kellyanne Conway has a new book.
Yeah.
Out right now it's a great book, and it talks about all the stuff she had to deal with, dealing with all the vitriol, hate from the media, and how I tell you some of the stuff that she was talking about in her book is like, oh my God, the way it's called, here's the deal, great book. It's only $15 on Amazon. We should try and get her on as for a do a book event with the club with her. I think might be, because I know her from the old days when she was a polling company. Yeah. And she used to come to Grover's,
Yeah, she spoke at an AIM lunch once years ago.
Yeah. And was that when she was with what's his name, or was that after she left?
She was still running the polling company.
Okay, because before polling company, she was working for Frank Luntz.
Right. Yeah. So it's she'd be a great person for a book event.
Yeah, I should reach out to her actually, because she's I think I should. We should see. Maybe we should do something with the club or the state party or something like that.
Right. All right. But, so we probably ought to wrap this up because we just.
Yeah, I think
we still got stuff to do.
Yeah. Final thoughts. I know it's So is your house quiet now, or do you have a lot of guests? You still have house guests?
No, that was the weekend invasion last week was crazy, right? Kids from 12 kids between 2 to 15 plus their parents. Yeah. Oh, wow. My wife is the ultimate saint for inviting them in. They were coming to town, and they were for the church's the temple, but they're planning on camping, and she offered the house. But I'm glad that they were sightseeing and doing stuff during the day, but dealing with them at breakfast and at dinner. And stuff like that, it was.
See, Donna, that's all about Asian hospitality, because my parents used to do that.
Oh, she's as good at that. Oh, I mean, look.
Oh, your kids are coming to town. Oh, why should they stay at a hotel? We've got plenty of room. Let them just stay with us. We got plenty of room. And
I will say this. Okay, so the one, the one that has 7 kids. The guy's a doctor. He's a surgeon. It's like he makes plenty of money, but even with the 7 kids driving 1,000 miles from Iowa, it's camping out. It's not. I'm not going to rent out 2 or 3 hotel rooms, right?
Yeah.
They can well afford it and everything like that. And my wife just poured it out big time, and I don't know how much a meal cost at the Copper Canyon for sure, but they left us a little gift card, and I'm like, maybe we can get by with two meals and the tip and the tax. I'm not sure. I'm not sure they left us enough money in the gift card to get a full meal with everything, but who knows? We'll find out one of these days. Wife's up to it, but yeah, we're
Copper Canyon? I thought Copper Canyon closed. They're still around
over in the Rio.
Okay, I thought they closed over there.
Yeah, I was
no,
there.
That's right. They're still there. They're still there. That's right.
I was there not too long ago with the other people I work with. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that invasion is over with. But I've got we've got a dinner party that'll have 44 people coming on Saturday. So it'll be nuts.
Cool.
end all.
So,
But
final thoughts.
final thoughts. I think a couple things. One is this whole Brett Kavanaugh assassination. The way the Democrats have played this. I mean, the Democrats are holding up this security bill for the Supreme Court justices. I mean, AOC seems to be proud of the fact that she's held this up, but now you see this, and this is like something needs to be done here. I mean, especially since the guy that was he had zip ties and all kinds of things like this.
Mm-hmm.
He was upset about this whole leaked potential about Roe v. Wade being overturned. So this is not some conservative wacko going after a liberal justice, going after a conservative justice, and the Democrats and everything like this. They're not. Nobody's really paying as much attention to this because of who they're going after and who's behind this whole thing. Once again, media hypocrisy, liberal Democrat hypocrisy, going on once again with all this. It's a shame with all of that.
And let's just take a little trip back in time. What if in 1973, it got leaked that abortion was going to be legal throughout the land, right? And right-wing fundamentalists, or whatever they want to brand them, went out and decided to stalk a Democrat, like what's his name was on the courts back then. Who am I thinking of? John Paul Stevens. He was a liberal member of the court. What if somebody went out in front of his house and tried, let me tell you, we'd have a John Paul Stevens Day, the day that somebody threatened to kill a Supreme Court Justice Day or something like that, because Stevens was a lefty, but this, it's a conservative. They don't care. I mean, it's just like that shooting they had at the congressional baseball game. Okay, nobody cared about it. They talked about it, but then when they found out it was a leftist, a Bernie Sanders supporter, it kind of just got all swept under the rug. It's like basically Democrats in their mind view the lives of Republicans are expendable. While the life of one Democrat is worth the life of 7 Republicans. That's how the Democrats feel.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're a bunch of hypocrites on this,
and they don't value life. That's why they're all pro baby killing. That's why they're all pro-choice. They don't value life unless it's their own.
So another final thought here too is so San Francisco voters now, they ousted through a recall their prosecutor, the top prosecutor.
Yeah, their DA.
Chesa Boudin. So remember Chesa Boudin, I mean, he was soft on crime. People could commit crimes and they would get released. They wouldn't get prosecuted. They had a lot of those groups go into stores, right? Businesses just walk out with goods. Nothing ever happened to them.
Yeah.
Even the business owners turned against Boudin. Now remember, Boudin is the son of Kathy Boudin, who was a member of the Weather Underground.
Weather Underground. Yeah.
An absolute terrorist, domestic terrorist.
Bill Ayers.
So
where Barack Hussein Obama launched his political career in his house of the Weather Underground.
Yeah, so it's like quite a pedigree for Boudin, but this also leads to the problem. LA's got the same problem with their guy Gascon, and so with that one, they've got to get 766,000 signatures, I think, to get it on the ballot for November. They have about 700,000. I don't know how many have been validated yet, but they have until like July 6th. So they've got just under a month to do this. I think they're going to get there. And I think if that happens, I think Gascon loses his job in November. So they've had the progressive, the far left, this whole idea that you can get these big lefties,
look at the mayoral race in LA. The Law and Order Democrat, who used to be a Republican, it beat the wokey McWokey Democrat. Now they got to go to a runoff, but he
may not prevail. I mean, they haven't had anybody like him since Reardon back in, what was it? It was early 2000s or late 90s.
Yes, Kamala Harris, his mentor, right?
Yeah. So they haven't had something like that. Now he's got money. Bass is she's in Congress and she's running for this thing. She was supposed to just be able to sail through and have this free and clear. And then this guy comes in here and he's got some money and he's got the Law and Order campaign. And yeah, so he what do you have? It was like what, 41 to 37 in the primary. So that's why they had to have the runoff, because they got to get 50. I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting. He might prevail. He might win. He might be able to attract enough to get over 50 and win. She might be able to take the people that voted for the other guys and get them and beat him. But I think the liberals have to. It's kind of a wake up call in LA too, that this guy kind of came out of nowhere initially and took this candidate who should have sailed through, and now they're in a race. They've got a real race.
I tell you, I think California is going to be ready for a Republican governor. I think they're going to be ready for it.
Well,
the state is.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a candidate strong enough on this go round, but with inflation, with gas prices and things like this, one thing we know is that voters vote on the economy in their pocket, and politicians that have been part of an administration or any party that has contributed, or they felt has contributed to their pain and their wallet, they don't last unless the area is like plus 15D or something like that. If you're in an area that's D+5, I think this year you're in danger. If the Republicans put up a strong enough candidate, anybody within that's within the margin of you could lose your job easily with the way things are going.
And I tell you, if gas is, I'm not just talking to DMV, if gas is hovering around $7 come November, I mean, even, excuse me, becoming late evening. Even our Wokey McWokey residents, I think the sensible Maryland Democrats, like the Harry Hughes Democrats, no way they're going to vote for a Democrat. I mean, especially somebody like a Washington Post endorsed Tom Perez, By the way, so getting around $7, I think we're going to see a lot of new faces,
I think there's an opportunity there. I mean, definitely on in Congress, I think the Republicans are going to get, they're going to get.
I think we're picking up the Nevada Senate seat definitely, because I think Laxalt wins that.
Beats November
wins it. Yeah.
I mean, I think there are possibilities. I mean, the Democrats are trying to figure out.
Because his dad was Paul Laxalt, right? That's Paul Laxalt's son, right?
Or his grandfather. I mean, how old is Laxalt? You have to see what the tree was with this. Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to see how this works out. I get a little bit leery about the Senate. I mean, Georgia, it's we could do it, but I'm not sure that Herschel Walker is the guy. That type of thing.
I think New Hampshire, we pick up New Hampshire is going to be
New Hampshire. I think
Nevada,
New Hampshire possibilities. I think Wisconsin is a hold. So I think we're okay there. Pennsylvania is going to be tricky, but potentially we could hold.
Yeah.
So we don't. It'll depend upon where the voter sentiment is. They're going to need. I think part of the problem, for like Pennsylvania Senate is just that they've got this guy. What is it, Mastriano, running for governor, and he's very Trumpy, and I don't think statewide that sells well. So I think that can become a problem, because if he was a strong candidate, it helps the down ticket guys.
Yep.
If people aren't going to go for him, then it could hurt them on the Senate side. So it's a little tricky.
Yeah.
But still doable. So we'll have to wait and see. There will be some test, I think, of Trump's strength in some of these areas, the ones that have just embraced him and are running for office, whether or not they can actually win in some of these states. My personal feeling is that you really have to, most places, you have to stay away from talking about stolen. Quit, we're past this. It's 2022.
Yeah, we're starting to sound like the Democrats who still think 2000 has been stolen.
Move on. Yeah, you quit looking like the Democrats. we don't need to be the Stacey Abrams. I never conceded my election, right?
You think she'll concede this time when she gets blown out of the water by Brian Kemp?
Yeah, I mean, Kemp, I think is going. Yeah, it's not even going to be close this time, right?
I mean, and I think Ron DeSantis just cruises into re-election.
Yeah, Florida from that toss up, that kind of battle where Republicans are gaining firmer and firmer control.
My home away from home, Brevard County.
Yeah.
Only 2 Democrats elected, and they're on the Board of Ed, and they're going to be going down this November. So,
all right, Dwight, time to wrap it up with your final thoughts.
Yeah, my final thoughts, real quick one. I've got an ice cream social next Wednesday evening at the Realty offices of Brad Roars. Visit dwightformoco.com for details. Love to see everyone there. A very low price point, and that's my final thoughts. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks for being there. Thanks, Susan.
Yeah, for our nostalgia show.
Yeah.